Eh? Oh, you bastard! It's the 3.5 quid up this morning.
Oh, come in, the girls just
Owned it. Welcome. Get up.
Hello, boys and girls, lads and lassies, and welcome back to Wednesday night's TV and movies with myself and Archer Colin. And tonight,
Good evening.
And tonight it's Tank Girl. Oh, I must admit, this is a weird one for me. I saw it years ago, and even then, I found this movie, weird as hell, but fun. It is definitely a comic book. To me, if they could do comic books like this type of movie, obviously different comics, different thing, but just the way they handled the comic book aspect of it worked.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was actually kept getting flashbacks in part to the only real Batman. I kept expecting them to come and say pow where they
hit somebody
with but you know, I mean, obviously different style, but where they intersperse the graphic, the comic style graphics, to cover the action and that sort of thing. As you said, it was very, very much a comic book movie.
Yes,
literally.
And I think the way they did the introduction of comic books, like when they were fixing the tank up and the jet up, they didn't show them. They showed the cartoon of the bits, and it was all stills and just zooms in. And very, you can imagine watching that in a panel on a comic.
Yeah,
things like that I thought did well, and obviously it's not a kids' comic. It's definitely not for children.
No,
it's
no, definitely not.
Comic. But just with some of the things like it's been swell, but it's gone down now. And could you loosen the jacket? I can't play with myself as well in this. It's things like that, you know, you're sitting there thinking the humour is very body humour. Brody.
Yeah. It's very much sort of the one-liner. Overcompensating for sheer terror, sort of thing. I think.
Yes, and it is the fact is you could just see the bits in her face when she's getting tortured. You can see the face sort of, and then it's a case of she'll say something sarcastic. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
do you know what the good thing about this movie is? Which I always say there's certain things movies like this couldn't be made today. This one could, because it is a very female-centric movie.
Yeah.
And it was so well done. Because the Rippers didn't get, she wasn't their saviour. It was just, there was so much of this. I actually think this was so well organised, considering when it was made. You're talking about 95. So obviously things like the fight scenes for the Rippers fighting all the soldiers, you're sitting there thinking, nah. Yes, they keep it dark and smoky to mask a lot, and they do sharp cuts here and there because they can't actually have it then at the time with the people in the outfits to try to do that. Whereas nowadays, they probably could have a better fight scenario with people with guns facing people who jump around and rip things to shreds. It could work a bit better. But then, 1995, I think it was done in a decent budget. I don't think the budget was too high, but considering the amount of explosions, the special effects, the costumes, it was not too bad.
No, at all.
Yeah. Yes, Roman, thank you. I did see that at the 94 mark. So I'm climbing.
Yeah.
So remember, boys and girls, subscribe. But that's
Like,
me just
share,
being
subscribe.
Yes, definitely. So, what was your thoughts when you first saw this? That bad?
Well, no, because I think, first Shadow thing was, I must admit, I really did not like her look, but that's what it was supposed to be, that look, and that's nothing against Laurie Petty herself, but it was different. It sort of started off with it sort of started off looking like okay, so this is an obviously sort of the post-apocalyptic universe setting.
Yeah.
I thought that it was an interesting idea that what they were after was water.
Yes.
The big value is water, because that's you hear that come up again occasionally. That will be the next big resource that we come to blows over.
Mm-hmm.
That, and of course you can never go wrong with my brain just completely and utterly live stream brain farted on the actor's name as the bad guy. Malcolm McDowell as a bad guy.
Yes.
You can never ever go wrong with Malcolm McDowell as a bad guy.
Yes, he plays it so well. He doesn't overplay it. He sort of underplays it, and he underplays it so well that he can play a good guy or a bad guy, and he plays the same guy. It's just the words rather than the actions. So he could be the college professor who's out to help you, but his attitude and his voice doesn't change. So you're sitting there thinking throughout the movie, is he the bad guy? Because he just comes across just without over hamming it up. There's no moustache twirling, there's no deep laughs. It's just a case of he plays it and you're sitting there thinking. So when he does something evil, like getting the guy to walk across the floor towards him and the broken glass, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, evil bugger. And then he walks across the glass and he's got his bare feet, and you're sitting there thinking, well, I could see why the guy initially took his shoe off, because he's standing with his shoes off. So it's no a sign of weakness to do it. But you could, just the whole different attitude on things like that. It's just he can play it without hamming it up, I suppose, is the thing. I've seen too many modern day bad guys in movies where they overham it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Malcolm McDowell is the same as Alan Rickman. He can play a good guy or a bad guy, and he plays them so well that you don't quite know where it's going to end up at the beginning. So you don't know if he's going to be the good guy or the bad guy until something happens.
He doesn't play the bad guy as a bad guy necessarily.
Yes.
He plays the bad guy as someone who's getting their own way, or wants to get their own way and thinks they're in the right.
Mm-hmm.
He's oddly enough, it's not a particularly comic book villain that he plays in a comic book movie.
Yes, that's true. Because normally, as the comic book villains are very comic book. They're over the top usually. Yeah. Whereas his over the top was his hand until she punched him. And then suddenly he realised he's a holographic head, which didn't really make sense. And then the way they tried to explain it, because why would you cut somebody's head off and replace it with a hologram? That's where all their brains are. So surely it just, I don't know. The scientific aspects of a comic book you don't need to worry about. That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The only other comic book or cartoon live action one that I saw and enjoyed, and I thought it was very comic booky, very cartoonish, and it worked as live action, was the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one with John Goodman.
Yeah.
I liked that for the same reason. It was over the top cartoon, but different. That was made for kids or the whole family. Whereas this one, don't bring your kids to.
Yeah, definitely not a kids one. This
definitely not.
But it. I think the thing is, you probably need to differentiate. It's an American comic book,
yes,
rather than an English comic, because American comic books, especially the superhero-y ones, etc., seem to be are definitely more darkish and adultish themed. I mean,
yes,
there is a slight difference between, say, Batman and the Bash Street Kids.
Yes, but I would say
They're
there's
both comic.
Yes, but I would still say there's a definite difference between Batman and Superman.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Batman's a darker, more adult or more mature read, whereas Superman, the kids could read it because it's a good old American boys.
Superman's American Boy Scout, isn't it?
Yeah. So your kids could read Superman. And they could read some Batman, but there's some Batman you couldn't let kids near, like the Killing Joke and stuff like that. It's things like that. So there's some comics out there that are designed for when I say adult, a more mature audience.
Well, as I said, then again, there's a difference even here between the Bash Street Kids and Judge Dredd.
Yes, just a wee bit.
But when you think in this country, comics tended to be a lot more aimed at children. Although, to be quite honest, back in the days when we read comics, they were actually aimed at intelligent children, not
But there was still the comics for anybody, like the Beano.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly.
Or as my dad would say. He always used to say, he says he'll go and get comics. He'll go and get the Beano, the Bunty, and the Bare Ass Monthly. So, because the Beano, me and my brother were younger than my sisters. So, it was the comic book, kids' books he got. The Bunty was for girls, but it was more for teenagers, that type of thing.
Well, I mean,
the Bare Ass Monthly, I think my dad got that for somebody else, honest.
Well, I mean, I've got a sister. My sister's 3 years younger than me, so yes, I mean, I got the Bunties and
you cut it again.
I say I got the Eagles and the 2000 ADs and Tornado and all the rest of it, and my sister got the Bunties and the Judies and the whatever the other girls comics were. Back when we were allowed to be boys and boys were allowed to be boys and girls were allowed to be girls.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So, but the same idea when I was growing up, I would read the Beano, the Dandy. Then, as I got a bit older, I would read Commando, Star Blazer, Eagle. Then, as I got a bit older, I went on to things like Judge Dredd or 2000 AD and Star Lord, and then it went from there to books. Heinlein and stuff like that. So as we grew up, the comics changed, and then it went from comics thing, and now it's back to graphic novels because it's fun again. But it's that aspect of it, and I thought, because I had never I always say things like I don't watch Guardians of the Galaxy because I'd never heard of them, so I don't really care
No, I
enough
hadn't.
to actually bother about them. And some of these other characters they're bringing in, which is characters, they've got a very small appeal, but they're trying to bring them into the mainstream. And I keep on saying, I'm not interested in it. And then I remember Tank Girl. I'd never heard of Tank Girl before I saw the movie. Then I saw the movie and it intrigued me. And then I got a copy of a couple of Tank Girls. And I thought, really interesting comic book. And I liked it. So in hindsight, thinking all these ones that I've never heard of before are going to be rubbish because I've never heard of them. What do I care? Then I remember Tank Girl. I never heard of it before.
Well, I know what you mean. I mean, I looked at, I think a while ago, I think I went through, I saw a picture of the next lineup for Phase Barely Alive and Phase Does Anybody Care? Or Phase 5 and 6 as Marvel calls them. And I'm thinking, I think I've only actually heard, there's about a third of the people, or a third of the characters in the shows that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Another third of spin-offs I don't care about, and the other third I've heard of I just don't care about anymore anyway.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. I mean, was Tank Girl, did it have a very long run as a comic?
That I don't know, because obviously it's a US comic, but I only I only got a couple of them. It's not one that I was that interested in. I started collecting. It's just if I saw Tank Girl, I'd pick it up. But they were very rare finds when I was younger. When I'm saying younger, you're talking about I was 95, so I was coming up 30. So I was about 32, 33 when I first saw this movie. So it was just a wee while back.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a kid. But it's the same idea. When I go into the Forbidden Planet or the comic book stores, Tank Girl wasn't something that I saw on all the shelves. It was just here and there I would see a copy of it and I would pick it up. And it was only because of this movie. So I don't know how the run was, if it was a very popular one. And it's not too dark. I think it's fun. It's not light, let's put it that way, but it has got light humour in the dark. So a murky grey area.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't remember the crunch.
No, me neither.
Yeah, so, but the way this movie started, I quite liked as well, because it didn't just go in, Tank Girl driving about the tank, sitting there going, where the hell did you get that? So you're watching Tank Girl, you know who the main character is, and it's just all the build-up with the kids. So you knew it was obviously from straight off, it's an adult one, even though there's kids in it, like her coming in with a gun, strip off, and the guy's going, all right, and stripping off. Then the two kids come in and go, oh, they're acting weird again. And the young girl's got wanker.
Oh, yeah, I got about that. I mean, that's the son of I got about 5-10 minutes in before I sort of going, okay, is anything else going to happen a little bit? So I skipped through into it. But that was good. I was sort of coming, oh, they're getting weird. I mean, the odd thing was you could.
I didn't know that. She's actually a British character.
No,
what?
Interesting. I mean, I thought, okay, the thing is, I don't know if I'm just too old and cynical, or if I've just seen so many tropes over the years, but I'm thinking, pretty much as soon as she started acting, I thought, okay, that's the boyfriend she was talking about then.
Yeah.
You know, because she mentioned a boyfriend who's coming down, I think, okay, this is far too obvious a trope.
That's true.
Okay, that's almost certainly going to be her boyfriend then. Because if it's not, it's a real weird. It's going to be an even weirder film.
It was see, that's the thing. It is a weird film. I'm not denying it. It's not one that you could sit down and go, and it's you could pay as little attention as you want, but you'll not pick up in a lot of the silliness because it's subtle in a lot of the places. Like like when she's walking about with the fish and she's walking around and she's just Jet Girl's talking and she's just walking down and she's got the fish going doo-doo, doo-doo. And it's silly and it doesn't really mean anything. She's just actually just messing around with a fish. So it means nothing, but it's just it's adding to her character. So it is. And that's what I liked about it. It built up the zany type of character she had from the beginning, right through it getting more and more damaged as the movie went on.
Yeah. I mean,
which I did like.
Yeah, the other thing I see it struck me is in fact the post-apocalyptic thing. Following something that set me going on Saturday, I think I've actually just recently been rewatching Andromeda.
As in
Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda.
Yeah, I enjoy Andromeda.
Which of course is in itself technically a post-apocalyptic setting.
Yes, because
different kind of one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a futuristic spacefaring one, but yeah, it was the coalition. It was the something alliance, galactic alliance, or something.
No, because it was the planetary confederation.
Confederation.
So
there was this confederation which fell because of the Nietzscheans, and then they got put into blasted at time, and everything. The advances they make had been lost.
Yeah.
So
what intrigued me about that, and I know it's going off a little bit of a tangent, what got me there is that at the start of certainly the first season, the chapter is. It opens with "The long night has come," and the long night is what the Foundation is set up to shorten to 1,000 years. That is the exact phrase that Asimov uses: "the long night after the fall of the first Galactic Empire." So I'm seriously tempted to wonder if any parts of that Roddenberry was inspired had read Foundation books.
You can guarantee it because somebody's writing sci-fi. They're probably reading sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's that type of thing. But with the good thing is as well, they set it up. They basically gave Tank Girl, given her monologue of why they're at the point they are. It was a case of a meteor hitting the Earth and water suddenly a rarity. And obviously that's the currency,
etc. Yeah.
So she gives the basic breakdown. So you know where they are. It didn't start, and people are actually starting about doing this. And then somebody has to go, since the great meteor water shortage, and that type of thing. She just gave what you would see in the comic book after and then it got into the story. And that's what she did. She basically gave what you would read in the spine of a book before it went into it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like you've got to do that in any sort of setting like that. The same as they did in June.
They did it in Judge Dredd as well.
In Judge Dredd and in June, in any of those, you've got either you've got three ways to do it. You've got the clumsy you've got the clumsy bit of, as you know, your father, the king, in character in universe exposition. You've got the the June etc. style at the beginning of the movie exposition, setting up the universe.
Yeah.
Or you've got the much harder to do, especially in something which is just one film length, not putting down for directors for doing it the other way, of somehow doing it in universe without just coming out as expostulation. You know, you've got to sort of introduce a universe that's sufficiently, or a world that's sufficiently different from ours for people to actually understand what's going on and why it's going on.
Yeah, and the good thing is, the more complex they make that introduction, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Where they did it and it was fairly straightforward. Oh, by the way, a meteor hit Earth. It caused a calamity. There's water's now a shortage. And that's all she gave. You didn't need to know why the meteor caused the water damage and why it did this and why it did that. You just, this is what happened. So that's where we are in the story. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, fine well, in 10 years' time, they'll be doing a post-apocalyptic after the great pandemic, and then the war, and they'll go down that route. So there'll be
someone mentioned in chat, and I had a quick look it up. The Laurie Petty's in the a series called, I think it was Station 11. I had a quick look it up. Apparently, I've not heard about
Station 11.
No, I don't. Apparently, I just had a quick look, and I think it apparently only came out last year. But it's alternate histories in a world after pandemic. So we ain't gonna have to wait that long. Well, you know.
But somebody told me about Station 11. I've not had a chance to even look for it, but I will. See, I think Laurie Petty's got that weird look.
Yes,
in Kangaroo, it works for her. It's the same as whoever played Lilu in the Fifth Element.
Wasn't that the one that went on to be in the cheers, Kelly. Enjoy the rest of your day. Well, wasn't that the actress that was in the Resident Evil movies? Married to the director?
I don't think it was the same person. Because let's see. I'm going to actually something Djokovic or something, Jovic or something. Like that. She was in Resident Evil, but Fifth Element. Maybe if I can spell Fifth Element. Mila Jovovich. I didn't realise she was actually. It was the same person. Because the Resident Evil ones I like, and I didn't realise it was the same person. It just goes to show she's just obviously the weirdness of that character.
I thought it was. Well, I'll tell you the interesting for that is the other interesting is in unlike a lot of people, I've never actually played. Unfortunately, I've never played the Resident Evil games. I'd like to have a go at them, but they're not. But I actually quite like the Resident.
Because I like the Resident Evil movies, but I'm not keen on the games. I've never played because I don't play games.
But I've actually read several of the novelizations. There's the way they do it. There's certain novelizations, and you can actually read them. I think in a way that you can read the novelizations of the films and the novelizations of the books, and you can almost read them in some ways in sequence, even though they're actually completely they're not quite in the same universe. But that was because the interesting was in the last Resident Evil movie, I think it was, where they've got the computer generated kid. That is actually the computer generated kid
she's the AI because of the founders, the guy who did it.
And she's the spoiler alert. She's also, if I remember right, the original from which the main character is Alice is cloned. But
yes,
the child version actually played by Mila Jovovich's and the director's daughter. And I think only one of the latter ones. I don't think she's in the first film. I don't think she's the White Queen in the first one. But she's in, as I say, she's actually, I can't remember, it's not Verhoeven, is it? No, it's Paul Anderson. I think it's the director of Resident Evil and that. I think it's Anderson, not Verhoeven.
Right, so I was actually looking at that there. So the Resident Evil, so there's the Fifth Element and Resident Evil and Anderson, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah. I said him. He's in Mila Jovovich's daughter on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if this is sad. I mean, these days, if they did remake Tank Girl, unfortunately, there'd be a hell of a lot more. For starters,
I missed that. You says a hell of a lot of
girl on girl action on it. Yeah.
But see, the thing is, the way
because it's current day,
Yeah, but the way it works, it's weird. They could make it, but they wouldn't make it certain ways because obviously she just messed around with that Sergeant Small, saying, "What you messing with my girlfriend for?" And Tank Girls give Jet Girls give it and whereas she also ended up with the half kangaroo dog boy.
Yeah, so the end of that, I thought that was that was still not quite certain what they actually were.
Yeah. But you know what I found funny in this? See, if you got into IMDb, that you've got Tank Girl and Jet Girl.
Yeah.
But there's also one called Sub Girl.
Yeah, I saw that on the credit when the credits gone through.
Is that the girl who? I'm trying to think. Was that the girl who was the designer? The member? It's the only thing because I can't admit they mentioned Sub Girl, but where? Was Sub Girl, what part was that she meant to be? I was wondering if she was meant to be the crazy girl. Remember the one she was basically she had the shotgun initially, and she said she can. Oh well, you're not for water and power, no problem. You escape, no problem. You can actually use my garage to fix up your tank.
Oh, her. Yeah, possibly.
That's the only one I could think it was because the picture of her and is it Ann Cusack? Ann Cusack. She looks like it, but obviously the picture you see in it now compared to one from 27 years ago. Bit different because she would obviously had it hair done weird and stuff like that. So it was just weird. And who was Rat Face? Was Iggy Pop? Was he playing the old
Rat Face? Was Iggy Pop? And I was thinking because I actually recognize someone.
But that's what I'm saying. Was that the one that was meant to be looking for the wee girl?
Honestly, not. I'm just. Yes, it looks like the one photo of Ann Cusack is the redhead. So that's obviously who Sub Girl was. I'm not sure because T Sate must have been one of the ones on a heavy metal because that was Ice-T.
I recognised him. He was the one that was the cop. Used to be the cop. You could tell by his voice.
I was like, I was in Law and Order SVU.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking this is Iggy Pop. Hold on.
I'm thinking he doesn't. Oh, hold on a second.
That's Iggy Pop, isn't it? The one that played.
Yes.
That's Rat Face. Yeah, you can't imagine many people actually saying, "Yeah, I'll play that character." The one that wanted to get up.
Yeah, so
it's weird, but so there was some it's a case of it's obviously designed for an adult audience.
Definitely.
The comic book design and play on the movie was very comic book, so it worked for that. It's just all the elements together just made this movie weird, because it starts off, they tell you about the post-apocalyptic, it sets the type of personality she's got, with the sex drive, the weirdness, and things like that, and also quite caring about the kids as well, even though it's only the wee girl. The wee boy died, everybody else seemed to have been killed. The only one that survived it was her and the wee girl.
Tell me, if you were a victim of a sex crime in America, would you trust this guy would you trust this guy to be your investigating detective?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So yes, he played he was a cop in his past life, Ice-T. So I recognised his voice as soon as he came up. But so it sets her character, the type of over sexualized, a wee bit deviant, very caring, and weird as hell. So it sets that up from the beginning. Then it also mentions the Rippers. Was it Rippers they called them?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was Rippers. And they mentioned them, and it's just a case of, we've seen that happen to Water Power. Water Power seems to have problems with these. And then it goes on, and then Water Power come in and take out everybody. In effect, there's women, children there. They all get killed except one wee girl and her. And the only reason she get kept is because she was a woman, and all the guy says, we could have fun with this one. But in effect, the boss wanted her because she alone killed the 8 of his men. So it was because of that she get kept alive. And it was weird. And it's very adult storyline.
Yeah, very much so.
And I loved it for that, because it was weird enough.
If I feel teeth, you feel a bullet. Yes. This is not a kids' movie in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
If I feel teeth, you feel a bullet. But your problem, could you get me a bit of some tweezers?
Yes.
It out? Those jokes they were funny, and even the bit where you see her sitting in the freezer when he's trying to break her and she's freezing. And he comes in, she says, "It's not fair. I can't play with myself in these." You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even the shower scene, it sounds weird to say. There's all the this is not allowed because of water shortage, and it says shower scene the showers must be taken with your underwear on.
Yeah.
And then it's a sand shower.
Well, the old thing I found about that is that you can actually bathe in sand. You can, because you do that. You do something find that can actually be done as a way of cleaning off grit and grime and so on in the desert. It's not if you haven't got that much water.
Hold on, Colin. Hold on.
All right. You can actually do some sort of oh, bummer.
I know. Hold on. He's having one of his fits.
No, it's not that. It's I don't read Russian.
Yeah.
I thought I'd got the Tank Girl comics, but they're in Russian, and I don't read Russian.
Poor boy's having one of his refits. So hold on.
Oh no.
Aye.
Oh, poor lad. He's okay.
Aye, I think he'll be fine. It's quite mild, so I've got him here. Right. So, talk about the movie. Right, you talk about it, and I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting, as I said, different idea. I don't know if you could make a series of them or not. I could almost thinking about. I could almost see the storyline with a little bit of an adaptation fitting in the Judge Dredd universe.
The dystopian future type thing.
Yeah, you taking someone in the cursed earth. I mean, obviously, because obviously the catastrophe is not the same, but it's that sort of thing. Very Mad Maxy. I mean, Mad Max, you could almost, some of Mad Max, you could almost put in the same sort of thing.
You could. The good thing is about these, you could see similarities where they were doing it from different things. But then again, you can look at Mad Max and see earlier movies of a similar type, and that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Totally different, but they're very similar.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's going to be every movie set in a dystopian post-apocalyptic future is going to have some elements in common, like the dystopian post-apocalyptic setting.
Yeah,
and the fact it's very difficult to say that word.
Yes, I know. So listen, the wee man is okay. He's just every so often he has a wee fit. He is going to be okay, but I'm not going to be spend too much longer on because we've got other stuff I need to check with him. So I'm going to have to finish it a bit earlier tonight, and I do apologise to one and all. But what we'll do is do a finish off. Right, we've said about how the very first time I saw this, I really thought it was weird as hell, and it sort of caught me because it was weird. The comic book side of it, the lot of it. But after seeing it since it was made, and obviously within the rewatch, what would you recommend? And what did you like about it, and what did you dislike about it? We'll round off with that.
First off, Darren, if you look on Lindy Beige's channel, he's got an interview with the Jason who runs Rebellion Comics about that. And in fact, the guy that runs Rebellion Comics is a medieval reenactor and has got a channel called Modern History.
Yeah.
In answer to your question, as I said, I'm sorry, but I really did not like the design of Laurie Petty's character. It's the sort of design I can see them definitely making these days for the specific purpose of making a female character unattractive. But that was the design of the character, and that's
I think for this time, this was not meant to make the character unattractive. This was meant to make the character sexy.
I said, I mean, let's just say it did not do that for me at all. But that's personal taste anyway, no matter what. But I said it's the sort of thing I can see them doing these days.
Yeah, and I can understand that because there's parts of it I really like, and there's parts of it I just think I don't see the point in it. Like, for instance, they did this shower scene with sand, and you're sitting there thinking, well, they would have done this shower scene as a trope because try and get the boys to watch.
Yeah.
And then they do it with sand, which is going to get people going, eh? So it sort of, it brings it in for the boys, and then it actually goes to the boys. So it's, I think they did it deliberately because there's a shower and all that. So people are going to go,
quite possibly. Well, I mean, for me, the thing was,
it's sand, and I'm going, eh? I think it was done very well for that. So that to me is
when was this?
And it's done very well because it did it in a very female, feminine way. They did it saying, "Look, we're going to have a shower," and then they do it with sand, and you can just imagine people going, eh? And it was just, to me, it was very female focused, but it was also very feminine focused. I'm going to be off in 2 minutes.
All right.
So, but I think it is very well.
I was just trying to work out, and I'll quickly double check on when Starship Troopers came out, because one's tempted to wonder if that was a reverse of the famous shower scene in that. But I mean, the thing is, I said I've heard of people actually using the sand, well, not necessarily as a shower, but as a bath alternate when water.
See, I've never heard it as me, but the a dry bath, yes, I've understood. I understood that. But there was things in it I found was really well done. Like, for instance, the build up of the characters was really well done. The cartoon aspects of it, to bring it into a comic book style, was very well done. The things that I thought were less well done were the choreography for the fighting sequence, although the choreography for the dancing sequence was great. So
did you
the wee man's fine, so he is. So
I don't know, did you find those uniforms? Did you find yourself wondering what the hell the RAF were doing in that?
No, I thought it was just the typical grey or blue or because they uniform colour, and they usually have it right across the board, and it had to stand out against the sand. So
yeah,
when having a grey or a sand colour or a black, because the black would have been too much, I think they went with the blue to be more police-like, a bit more officer, because it was the officers. The rest of them were all in black.
But I thought there was something about those. They just looked like they were sort of World War II
fighter pilots. But I think I never even saw that. I just saw they were going for a colour scheme.
Yeah,
and they were actually trying not to have everybody all in black or grey, so the officers were in the blue, which countered the Malcolm McDowell's character in black.
Yeah,
and I think that's what it was. It was sort of more of a highlight to his character. Because if everybody was in black or grey or a variation of black or grey, then his character would have just been a bit darker uniformed than the rest of them. Whereas with it being blue, his contrasted to it. As his underlings, they stood out. He sort of, the black just made him stand out against them, but against these normal troops who would be guarding him, he could blend in.
Yeah.
So that's the way I looked at it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish there, but 10 minutes short of the hour. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Colin, thank you for joining us.
That's okay, mate. Don't forget, folks.
He's back.
Don't forget, we've got 3 days to find out if PJ's actually going to survive his encounter with an orc.
Yes, remember,
Friday night.
Castles and Tissues, Friday. Oh, there he's gone.
And we're talking Let's Talk Geek again on Saturday.
So, Colin, thank you for joining us. And boys and girls, thank you for joining us. And sorry for cutting it short, but the wee man needs a wee bit of care.
That's okay.
So, until next week.
Care takes precedence.
Remember, we're not old. We are classic. PJ, maybe, and Colin, out.
Good night, folks.